Hello lovelies, and welcome back to Squeaky's Cauldron, or welcome if this is your first time here. I'm your host, Sarah Evergreen. Thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day to come hang out with me in my weird, witchy corner of the internet. I am so happy that you're here today. I'm going to be talking about something that I think can inspire all of us and really inform the lives that we lead. Talking about creation and how we are created in the likeness of God. So I'm going to be going into some Bible verses here. If that's not your thing, just duly noted, that's where we're going. I do recommend just try out the episode. Maybe let something a little bit new come through. Perhaps these words will speak to you and shift something. Perhaps they won't, but it's all an experiment anyway, so what's the harm in trying? Before we get into the episode, if you are enjoying these, please like, comment, and subscribe. I love hearing from you guys. And if you are interested in working with me one-on-one, please check out the link in the description or the show notes to find out more about my coaching offers. All right, without any further ado, on to the show. Today, I'm going to be working with verses from the Bible primarily, but I do believe that you can find this idea of God and being created in the likeness of God and having the attributes of God in many different traditions. Is this idea of the divine spark, that we are part and parcel of God and so imbued with these traits. Now, a note on the word God before we go any further. I understand that this word can be very loaded for a lot of people and very triggering for a lot of people. And that was me for a long time too. So when I use the word God, I just want to be very clear that I'm not speaking of this cultural God, man with a white beard sitting in the clouds judging people. That's not what I'm talking about at all. What I am referring to is the God of your understanding. The reason I use the word is because that is the word that makes sense to me. That is what resonates for me. But if that makes you uncomfortable, just mentally switch the word God for whatever makes sense for you, whether that's the universe or Great Spirit or universal unconscious. Maybe it's the word love. Use whatever works for you and run with that, because that's the most important thing. God is just a placeholder word for a variety of different ways of understanding this thing that runs in and through all of us, that connects all of us, that connects everything, that is everything. Like I mentioned at the top of this episode, I am going to be busting out some verses. Please don't get hung up on the exact language of the verse and look deeper, look into the meaning of the verse. It can be very easy to get sidetracked by language, but as I've talked about in other episodes, language is just a kind of clunky thing that we humans created to try to talk about things that are ineffable, things that we can't actually wrap language around. And language has changed so much over the years, over centuries, over generations, and from place to place, and from translation to translation. So, don't get hung up on the language. Look deeper, look for the resonance. That's how I approach the Bible. That's how I approach holy texts. That's how I approach just books in general, words in general, is look for the resonance of the words. So let's talk about Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness. This is God talking. Let us make mankind, let us make humankind in our image, in our likeness. So God, as I've said, is the ultimate creator, the thing from which everything else came. And when we're made in the likeness of God, that imparts to us the ability to create. Now, it's, I think, tempting to conflate the idea of creativity with the idea of creating art. And saying someone is a very creative person, you might think, they're a painter or they're a writer or they make pottery. But this isn't true. We are all creative people. We are all creating all the time. And this is, it feeds directly into responsibility, which I'll get to in a minute. But we have the power to create our lives. Not just the power, but we're doing it anyway, regardless of how much we accept that power or not. Every choice that you make, every decision, every path that you choose to take or choose not to take, that is creating something in your life. And every thought that you choose to indulge, every pathway down your mental processes that you choose to take, that is creating your life. And you have the ability to shift those things. I'm not saying this in some big spiritual bypassy way of like, oh, just change your thought patterns and like everything will come to you. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you always have power and you are always using that power. When I sit down and allow myself to move into a space of, what's the point? What's the point of any of this? What's the point of making YouTube videos? What is the point of using my voice? What is the point of trying to say these things and get this message out to people? Because there's so much pain in the world. There's so much hatred. There's so much oppression. And I mean, the list of the things wrong with the world could go on forever. And most of our media plays into that directly. Most of the things that we listen to and imbibe plays into that directly. And when I give that my attention, more of that shows up in my life. When I give that my attention, it grows. But when I move my attention to what do I have access to? What are the things that I'm grateful for? What is working? Then those things take on more importance, and those things, I'm watering them, so those things grow. And we all have that ability. Every single one of us. It's not taken away from us. And this, at its core, is what magic is. We are working with the energy of the universe. We are working with the energy of God. We are working with something to create something new. Every time we make a decision, every single word we say is a spell that we're putting out into the universe. So be careful with your words. Be mindful, be intentional, because you are speaking things into being every time you speak. You are utilizing the energy of the universe every time you move your thoughts in a particular direction. And I'm not saying that it's easy to change that, particularly old thought patterns, but I am saying that it's possible. Your words, your thoughts, your actions are creating all the time. Which leads me into the responsibility that we have. Time for a Bible verse. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. God gave that to us. A spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. We have that. We also have free will. We also have the ability to choose to go into fear, to choose to go into constriction. But inbuilt into us, at our core, our truest selves come from a place of power and love and self-control. This verse was written in a letter by the Apostle Paul, considered to be one of, if not the last letter he wrote before he was martyred, before he was killed for his beliefs. These words came from a man who knew that he was facing down death. for believing in the words that he was writing. And, my loves, he was a human, just like you and me. Just like you and me. We all have that in us, that ability to touch that ability to believe that and move forward with the knowledge that we are imbued with a soul of power, love, and self-control. And as Uncle Ben taught us all, with great power comes great responsibility. You have to pick up that baton. You have to pick up that power, because if you don't, someone else will through you. And this is when we get into a place of feeling trapped. This is when we get into a place of feeling like we're helpless, like we're hopeless, is when we give our power away. And we do this unconsciously, and we do this through trauma, and we do this through patterning, and we do this through paying attention to how our parents treated us, treated themselves, treated each other. So there is a place where we have to start moving back into our own power. And I'm sure you have heard that a million times. Step into your power. Step into your power. But there's a reason that some things become cliche. Is because they're very, very true. And they're very, very necessary. It's not as easy as snapping your fingers, but the ability and the necessity to do that is there. And I'm not denying broken systems and the pressure of oppressive forces and systemic racism and any of this. I'm not denying any of that at all. That exists. And what I am advocating for is opting into your own power. And we can utilize, when we do step into that, when we do pick up that baton and say, no, this is mine, we have the ability then to shift the power dynamics away from oppressive forces, away from things and systems that keep human beings in a place of pressure and in a place of lack. But we first have to do that for ourselves. We cannot do that for other people. We cannot do that for the world until we shift that in ourselves. It brings to mind the Eight of Swords card for me. It's an image of a woman who's bound loosely, blindfolded, again, loosely, and is surrounded by swords stuck into the ground. She seems to be lost, not knowing how to move forward. But the thing is, the swords are on either side of her. She can step forward and not be cut, but she needs to take the blindfold off. She needs to free her hands so that she can see, no, there is a way forward. I am not actually surrounded by swords. And this is what we do when we take our power back. This is what we do when we start to open our eyes and wake up, as the term goes, is that we see that while there are all these things around us that can hurt, there is always a way forward. We can always take the next step because we are created in the likeness of God, and in that we have been given a soul not of fear, but of power, of love, and of self-control. As you grow closer to your truth, closer to your divine spirit, things will begin to shift and continue to shift, which leads me into the idea of progressive sanctification. I love this. I love this so much. The verse that I'm pulling on here is 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. But we all with unveiled face, beholding and reflecting like a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, even as from the Lord's Spirit. Okay, let me do that again. But we all with unveiled face, beholding and reflecting like a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image, into the image of the Lord, from glory to glory, even as from the Lord's Spirit. What the fuck does this mean? Okay. We all with unveiled face. Let's start there. What is a veiled face? The veil here refers to a hardness of heart, a shuttering of the eyes, a choice to not see, a choice to guard, a choice to protect, a choice to push the world away, push God away, push each other away, and push ourselves away from ourselves. And this is normal. This is natural. This is not something to be ashamed of if we find ourselves in this position. I have found myself in this position countless times, looking at myself and being like, oh, God, I hurt so much. And I hurt because I'm separating myself. I'm pushing anything that is good away from myself because I need to protect myself. Because the times that I let in what I thought was true and good and lovely hurt me. And this started all the way back in my childhood, when I came into this world completely unveiled, completely trusting, completely in this place of believing that the people around me would take care of me and love me and protect me. And then progressively, as that didn't happen, it happened, yes, but it also didn't happen a lot of the time. And as that went on, my heart grew harder. I built up more walls. My defenses became thicker and spikier, and I disappeared. Gradually, my true self went further and further into myself. And I got to a point of not being able to offer any of that to the world. And this is where pain comes from. The pain that we inflict on others and the pain that we inflict on ourselves. It's from the hardening of that heart. It distances us from ourselves and from each other and from God. It is impossible to witness God from behind that hardened shell. And so, with unveiled face, the verse says, so with a broken heart, with a heart whose hardness has been cracked open so that some softness behind can be seen and felt and can witness the world around us. So first, we must drop the veil. Even a little bit, even just a little bit, to drop the idea of victimhood, to drop the idea of shame, to drop our postures of cynicism, of hatred, of being separate from one another, to just begin to pull that down or break that down so that we can start to connect again. And to continue breaking that down so that we can continue to connect more and more and more with ourselves, with others, and with God. But we all, with unveiled face, beholding and reflecting like a mirror the glory of the Lord. When we take that veil down, when we unharden our hearts, when we let ourselves break open, we become this mirror so that we see, we witness the glory of God, and we reflect out into the world that self-same glory. And what beautiful magic that is. You, I'm sure, have met a person who just being in their presence is like, wow, I feel something holy here. I feel something sanctified. I feel love. I feel seen. I feel witnessed. grounded, peaceful. This is the mirror reflection. This is the ability to bring God through and to touch that God within ourselves, to really lean into that divine spark that we're all aching and yearning for, that we all are wanting to return to, because that is where the real power is. That's where the love is. We all, with unveiled face, beholding and reflecting like a mirror the glory of God, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. This is progressive sanctification. We are being transformed into the same image, the image of the Lord, the image of love, the image of the universe, from glory to glory, from beautiful moment to beautiful moment, from connection to connection, from love to love to love to love to love. We are being transformed. When we allow our hearts to soften, to break, when we allow those walls to come down and come down and come down, we are transformed. And we begin to show up in different ways in the world. And the things that we create are imbued with love and with beauty. And when our inner worlds shift, our outer worlds shift. It just works like that. But our outer world will not shift until our inner worlds shift. Until that heart is allowed to breathe. There will still be pain. There will still be hardship, because that is life. Because we are humans, and we are fragile, and we are flawed, and we are beautiful in our utter stupidity sometimes. We say the wrong thing. We do the wrong thing. We make the wrong choice. But it's not really the wrong choice, because it allows us to see something new. Even when we do something, make a choice that we regret, it's great, because it allows us to see, oh, yeah, okay, I regret doing that. I'm going to do things differently next time. And that's how we learn, and that's how we grow. This process of taking down your walls, of allowing yourself to become a mirror, allowing yourself to be progressively sanctified through your relationship with God, does not mean that it's all going to be light and rainbows. What it means is that you have access to your true power. And through that window of your power, you have access to the universe. And holy shit, the magic that comes through with that. You can't do magic with a hard heart. You can't pull love through if you're not willing to be in love first. In love. Like a pool. Like you're sitting in the pool of love. With this process, your posture towards pain and hardship will change. Your ability to sit with them will change. Your resilience will change. And the way that you choose to act on and in response to these things will change. And that will change everything. If you want to go deeper with this, finding your way back to your true self, finding your way to your power, and learning how to create the life that you really want to live, please check out my one-on-one coaching offers in the links below or in the show notes, or check out the meditation that I've also released on accessing your creator connection. And next week, we'll start a deep dive on Hecate's keys. Thank you everyone who voted on YouTube for this topic. I am super fucking excited to go into this with y'all. Until next time, my lovelies, take care of yourselves, and as always, use your voice.